Nope.
How about now?
Nope.
How about oh? It's Mike. This is the very supreme broadcast of honor podcast. Drivecast, bitch. I'm riding down the road. I'm recording this shit. Listen to me now. I've got a show. I make it up as I go along, cause you know it is the best place to be to get your games, reality, and news. And my views, everything I'm saying right now is made up, just like the show. If you don't like it, shut up and just go. There's lots of people that like when I talk about things and stuff and such. That's the way I get shit done in this life. You should try it once. Maybe you'll get a whole pile of friends. Welcome to the very supreme broadcast of honor podcast, Drivecast. My name is Mike. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you're new here, this is a podcast where I drive home from work and ramble on about various things, usually about video games. Thanks for joining me. It's no longer winter, so my drive is a little easier, a little shorter in terms of the amount of time it takes me to get home. I just realized today that going forward, continuing this Drivecast, I may have to sweat a lot as my piece of shit car does not have air conditioning, and thusly, as it gets warmer, I'm going to have to drive with my windows down. But to do this podcast, I won't be able to do that. So some days I'll either have to shorten the podcasts or just sweat it out for your benefit. Sweat it on out, yeah! So, still looking for intro songs. I know I talk about this every single time, but I want to put it out there. If you have a song that you've recorded, or if you'd like to record a song specifically mentioning this podcast in some way, please feel free. Poetry, just a spoken intro or outro would be fine. I'd love to feature your work. So if you have anything like that, send it to tvsboh@gmail.com and we'll get to putting that at the beginning or the end of this podcast. Today, and also if you haven't been here before, I come up with these topics minutes before I hit record. There's no research done ahead of time. I just think of a topic and ramble about it for a while. So if I go off topic, if I don't seem to make a coherent point, I apologize in advance. So today I wanted to talk about gaming addiction. It's something that's come up on other podcasts, and I mentioned that I'd like to do a podcast on it. So I'll do my best to cover gaming addiction. And when I'm speaking of gaming addiction, I really mean video game addiction, because gaming addiction is quite a huge encompassing thing. We'll talk mostly about video gaming addiction, but that will also relate to many other types of addiction, in my opinion, and we'll get into all of that. I guess I should start with the fact that I have some training in addictions counseling and addictions awareness. I have a diploma in social service work, and that was a large part of what we covered. Quite a few things, but one of the topics that was covered in my education was addictions. We didn't talk specifically about gaming addiction. We talked more about drug and alcohol addiction. I think we might have covered sex addiction and addictions in general, as in the psychology behind it, and general treatments and so on. Addiction is, in my opinion, something that can, well, that's not just my opinion, that's fact, that it can ruin your life, it can take over your life, it can become your life, and it can kill you, it can make you lose your job, it can also provide you with benefits. Addictions are very powerful things. One way that addictions operate is that it's providing you with something that you're missing in your life. And so, for example, even something as simple as clicking the like button on Facebook has been shown in some studies to release endorphins in your brain. Okay? So endorphins are the feel-good chemical that your brain creates. And when you have endorphins, your heart rate elevates slightly, you feel warm, you feel happy, you feel good. That's your reward center of your brain lights up. When you eat something that you like, the same things happen. You know, a good meal, the endorphins get released. If you have some sort of a physical encounter with somebody else in some way, even just like I don't mean just sexual, I mean like somebody touches your hand and in a way that's pleasing, in a way that's welcome, it's a welcome touch, that can release endorphins in your brain. Hearing a piece of music that you associate with good memories can release endorphins in your brain. So anyway, you can become addicted to just simply getting those endorphins, and whatever, that's like a huge one for addictions. Like many addictions are there because of that reason alone. Those endorphins. So, you know, like you click like on Facebook, you release a little bit of endorphins in your brain, which gets you to do it more and more. Like people do become addicted to Facebook. You can really become addicted to anything. Again, you get locked in because it's providing you with something that maybe you were missing in your life, or that's just one way that you could have an addiction. There's other ways. You could become addicted. So let's say heroin, for example. Heroin is a drug that provides you with a super high, and I don't mean super as in, man, that's great. I mean super as in it gets you really high. And it eventually, as you continue to do it, your brain stops creating. So heroin, I'm trying not to misspeak. I'm not an expert, and I don't want to say that I am, and I don't want to give you wrong information. Please note, this is not a scientific or medical podcast. Don't use my information for any studies or reports you might be doing, or for a professional situation. This is just stuff that I'm trying to remember. But I believe that heroin imitates things in your brain like dopamine, which is another happy chemical in your brain. And if you continuously inject yourself with heroin, your brain then thinks that it doesn't have to produce dopamine anymore because you're like, it's happening automatically. So it actually stops producing it. And that's a negative consequence. But also, so then to avoid those negative consequences, you have to, in your mind at least, or physically, you feel like you need to keep injecting that heroin, and you do, just to feel normal, not even to get high anymore, just to get normal. So that's a big thing about addictions. A lot of people, whatever they're addicted to, they do it just to feel normal, not necessarily to get a high or a rush anymore. They just need to do it to feel normal after a while. Anyway, addictions can be quite complicated, and there are a lot of different factors. But let's focus on video games. And the reason why this came up in other podcasts is because I feel that I suffer, I guess, or I'm a video game addict. And I guess being an addict, they say from a lot of different types of addictions, you are always going to be an addict, especially with things like cigarettes. And I can speak to cigarettes. I smoked for some years, and I'd say it's been about 10 years. I'd say 10 solid years since I've been a smoker, really. And every now and then I still feel like having a cigarette. And it's weird, but they say that that's a permanent addiction. I knew people that smoked cigarettes, didn't smoke for 30 years, one day just picked it back up again. Like they were drinking and someone offered them a cigarette and they said yes, and they smoked, and then all of a sudden they were a smoker again, and still are. After 30 years without smoking. It's that addictive. And same, I guess, with heroin, morphine, any of those drugs. Alcohol can be really bad once you're an addict. And it's something that's not really talked about in society right now. It's something that is underserviced. It's something that we don't care to admit, I guess. But people are starting to see the negative effects. I mean, they have been for a number of years now, but because video games are so new, really in the grand scheme of things, people don't know how to treat it. They don't know the signs and symptoms of video game addictions. They don't know, there's no societal supports really for it. When I finished my education in social work, I thought about starting up a video game addictions counseling service, like specifically, and actually on a broader scale, addiction to technology, because society doesn't really have in place anything to support people with those issues. And I think it's very real. And I think it's becoming more and more commonplace. Excuse me. There's a fine line between something you enjoy a lot and an addiction. There is a line, and once you cross over that line, you are in addictions territory. So the reason why I say that I think I might be a video game addict is because I have definitely in my lifetime, and again, these apply to most addictions, but I have definitely lied. And I wouldn't say in the last maybe 5 to 10 years I haven't really been this way. I'm 33 years old, but definitely before. But I've lied to friends and family about things in order for me to play video games. Like I've not gone to social outings, or I've never actually called in sick to work. And I think I've mentioned that before, but I've never called in sick to work to play video games. I have not done that. But I've definitely probably lied to family or friends at least a couple of times in my life in order so that I could just play video games. I have played video games. I have gone days, and again, not recently, but I have gone days where I'd wake up, grab breakfast, take my breakfast into, like I really play computer games more than I do console games. So I'd take my breakfast into where my computer is. While I'm eating, I'd start playing video games, and I'd play video games all day long. So then it's lunchtime, or I have to go to the washroom. So There's no hygiene that day. I don't brush my teeth. I don't shower. I play video games. I have lunch. Like I stop what I'm doing video game wise. I go get some lunch. I eat my lunch while I'm playing the video games. I continue to play video games. Supper, I grab that. So I'm either ordering food delivered to my door, or I'm just grabbing something like leftovers, or I make something that's fairly easy to make and quick. Grab it, bring it back, eat supper at my computer, playing games, and play games. And not only that, continue to play games well past the time that I should go to bed. So, that, in my opinion, it lines up with another factor of video game addiction. Like, I didn't do anything that day, including brush my fucking teeth. Again, I've not done this recently. I have too much to do in my life. I've got a quote-unquote real job. I've got a daytime job. And I've got TVSBOH live stream and YouTube channel and many, many other projects on the go. I just don't have the time to do that. And I like to have clean teeth. You know, hey, I'm maybe not, but I'm sure some of you at least out there have gone a day without showering. You know you're not going anywhere. Like, you put on deodorant, you know, you might wash your face and brush your teeth, but, you know, you don't shower. I might do that once a month, to be honest. You know, it's just a day where I'm vegging out, whatever. I washed yesterday, I'm going to wash tomorrow. I'm not doing anything or seeing anyone really, so it's, you know, I'm home clean. Hey, about once a month I do that still. But I do brush my teeth, and I do put on deodorant. And I wouldn't do that, you know, if I had exercised heavily the day before, or, you know, played a gig or something. I'd definitely be showering the next day. Anyway, off on the hygiene tangent there. But it's relevant because if you are doing things and ignoring hygiene, ignoring responsibilities in your life for days at a time, it could be an addiction. Now, that doesn't mean it's necessarily an addiction. There could be a laziness factor. There could be maybe you're injured, or you have some sort of a condition or a disease or some other situation in your life where, you know, bathing may not be possible for you. And that's fine. I'm not addressing that. What I'm addressing is addictions. And, you know, sometimes we talked about people not being like they don't want to be labeled as a gamer, because gamers have you know, that word or that term gamer has sometimes a negative connotation now, because you might be called, oh, well, you just have, you know, chip stains on your pants, and, you know, chip grease on your hands, and you know, all you drink is Mountain Dew all day long and energy drinks, and you smell because you never shower. Like that's what some people might picture when they picture gamer, you know, like you really reek. But that's not necessarily gamer. That may be someone who's addicted to video games, you see? That's the difference. You can be a gamer or somebody who plays video games but not be addicted to video games. So back to myself, video games, as soon as I played a video game, and I can't remember what the very first time I played, but I know from a very, very young age, and the reason why this is different than maybe some people now is because video games weren't really all that prevalent when I was growing up. Computers were just brand new things. I was born in 1981, so you can picture as I got older, computers started to come into the home. Video game systems were invented and came into the home. I mean, there were already arcades, sort of, when I was a child, but as I got older, they became more prevalent. So, but the moment I played a video game or laid my hands on a computer or anything like that, I I feel that I became addicted because it's all I could friggin' think about. It's all I ever wanted to do was use and play games and computers. And a lot of people are really surprised that I never got into a computer-related field directly, like computer programming or game making or anything like that, because I've always been so into computers and technology. But I feel that there's some sort of a switch, something that lined up for me. And it's weird because my dad also has also been always interested in technology, even though growing up that wasn't really available to him for himself. You know, he was always interested as soon as computers and games and stuff came out. Now, he's not a gamer at all, like zero. He doesn't even like games. Like when I tell him about TVSBOH, he's like, why do people even, enjoy that sort of thing? But it's just a generational thing. But at the same time, when it first came out, I remember him. I don't know if he listens to these podcasts, but I remember, Dad, you staying up till 3 a.m. playing Mario when you had to go to work the next day. I remember that. So I don't know if that's a genetic thing where my dad and I have the same trait where that is appealing. But I know my dad had like these little personal organizer things, these little one line, it was like one line, I think I've talked about before, it was like one line of text and you had to scroll way over to see what else you wrote, personal organizers and stuff. So I don't know, like my dad's always been in technology, so maybe it's a genetic thing or something I picked up from him, but technology has always been a thing that I've been like, just, it's magical to me, I love it. So anyway, I've always been about games and computers and technology, and I think that I may, at least at some point in my life, picked up an addiction to it. Again, like I'd make excuses just to use technology or play video games. I did a lot of cool stuff as a kid and growing up where I went out, like I played sports, both in school and outside of school. I played in bands, I did some acting and stuff like that. So there was a lot of cool stuff that I did, but I also played a lot of video games. And as soon as I left home, video games, like, that's what I did for entertainment. As soon as, I was done in high school, it took a year and worked to save for college, went to college. As soon as I went to college, all I did was play video games in my spare time. That was back in 2001. So from 2001 till now, so that's 13 years, roughly, just under 13 years based on the time. Video games has been my main form of entertainment. I don't play organized sports and haven't since the end of high school. I have been, I don't have a ton of friends that I see often. I mean, a lot of my high school friends, we all moved, scattered across Canada, some to some other countries and so on. There aren't a lot of people that I know very close. There's some that are, within maybe 3 hours drive or 2 hours drive, but we don't see each other that often, and that's life. People move on with their life. So, I have my home life and stuff, but as some of you may know or may not know, I am married. Sorry to break any hearts. I'm sorry. I love you still. Please love me. So, I spend time with my wife, and I have a home life that is good. But when it's my time, like in terms of entertainment, I play video games. I play video games in the morning when I wake up before I go to work. I like to get in at least one game of Dota. So I think specifically video games that I'd be addicted to right now are Dota, but it's really just my favorite game to play. But if I don't play Dota in the morning before I go to work, I'm bummed out. I just can't wait to play Dota. Like, I'll be at work going, fuck, I just want to play Dota right now. And I know that's silly because I don't need to play Dota. I could just not play video games and be fine, I think. But at the same time, I love it so much. I love to play it. Sorry, I'm just looking at a passing opportunity here. I've been denied. by oncoming traffic. Screw you, man. Why'd you have to be there right now? If you didn't know I was married, now that I'm just off topic, if you didn't know I was married, go back and look at every single video and every single live stream. I'm wearing a ring, man. I'm wearing a ring. The proof was there the whole time. Oh my God. Damn it. I can't see over that hill. Anyway, back on track here. Yeah, Dota, and like, I exercise every night, and I have actually sometimes played Dota while exercising. Does that make any sense to anybody? Probably not. But when you see, I only get to play twice a day, once in the morning and once while I'm exercising. Those are my only 2 opportunities daily during a regular weekday, not like a regular work day, that I would get to play Dota or get to play any video games for myself, not for the stream or for YouTube, but just for myself, just to relax, play a video game, is 1 game in the morning and 1 game while I'm exercising. So a couple days a week, while I'm exercising, I play Dota 2. I admit it. There you go. It's part of the healing process of being a video game addict. I think that's... Can I pass here? Yes, I can. So... I guess that's not really an addict, but how do you work out and play Dota? So the way that my desk is, I can stand up and use my desk. So it's not easy, and it kind of hurts my back sometimes, but I'll like do a lot of running on the spot and dancing around and moving around while playing Dota. And I do it a couple times a week out of my like 6 to 7 workouts a week. I just run on the spot, dance around, move around, and I'm able to still use my mouse and keyboard. Seems weird, but it's the truth. So that could factor in. If you're doing stuff like that, I think it might factor in. Now, I'm laughing there a bit because it's not really, I can't really say that I'm an addict because I don't miss work. I don't miss family or, home life things for work or for gaming. I don't lie to people about gaming, like about other things so I could game currently in my life. Again, I'm sure I've done it before. So real addiction, again, can be a real problem in your life. You can die from it. That's straight up the worst thing that can happen, in my opinion. If you think back to when World of Warcraft was first a thing, or EverQuest, they used to call it Evercrack because people would get addicted. I think EverQuest might have been the first massive multiplayer game that really hooked people in, and people were losing their families, so their husband or wife would divorce them. They would cheat on their husband or wife with, like, their partner with somebody they met on through that game. They'd move in with them. They both play that game together. They'd both be addicted, and basically they were both addicts. Both partners were addicts because they destroyed their own life. They'd quit their job. They'd find ways to make money other ways. I don't know how they did it. Maybe they would just be broke and they'd play till they got thrown out of their place of residence, and then they'd be homeless and jobless. And those are real stories, like with EverQuest and World of Warcraft to begin with. People neglecting their children to the point where babies would die in their crib because the person would be playing a video game. Now, that's not putting necessarily blame on video games either. And you have to remember that addictions become a real illness and something that you need to struggle with maybe for the rest of your life once it becomes an addiction. And a lot of people do. Some people don't want to call it an illness, but there is a large camp of people that would call addiction an illness, whether temporary, permanent, or treatable, however you might want to look at it. There's a lot of different ways of thinking about it. Personally, I think addiction, if you're addicted to something, once you're addicted to it and it becomes a real solid addiction, you may have to struggle with that for the rest of your life. That's my opinion. And one way to look at treatment, so if you think about alcoholism, and I've had friends from high school who became alcoholics, and in my opinion are still alcoholics, even though maybe they drink only a couple beer a day, or maybe they only drink socially, but they still binge drink when they drink, so they drink like more than 5 or 6 drinks. They drink to get blackout drunk, or they drink to get as drunk as they can, or really drunk, that's the goal, that sort of thing. The only way for some of those people who are really addicted to alcohol is abstinence, and that's why Alcoholics Anonymous and even Narcotics Anonymous, the thing that they preach is abstinence. So that's why they have like the 10-day chip, the 1-month chip, all those different chips that they get, the little medals that they get, are because they abstain from it, which means they don't do it at all. So I believe that same model should apply to video game addiction. I think there should be a Video Game Addicts Anonymous, so Video Gamers Anonymous. I don't know, alcoholics, video gameaholics, I guess is what you call them, video gameaholic, video game holic. I don't know the proper way, because there's no real terms for it yet. But I think that there should be a program just like Alcoholics Anonymous for people addicted to video games, or at least technology, Technologicaholics Anonymous or something. You'd have to play around with the PR and the medical terms and so on to get the right balance of marketing and proper medical terminology there. But that's something that someone would need to actually sit down and work out. But I think that for treatment, there should be one of these anonymous programs where you go, you slap on a sticker with your name on it, you say, hi, my name is Mike, I'm a video game addict, I haven't played a video game in 2 weeks, this is my first time abstaining from video games, and here's a story where I lost my relationship because, I want to share my story. I lost my girlfriend because I wouldn't stop playing video games, even when she asked me not to. And one time I threw a can of pop at her because she was trying to get me to look at this thing on her phone, and she made me die in the game, and I threw something at her and then she left me, or whatever, that kind of a thing. And it may seem silly, but I believe it's real, and it's really affecting families, it's affecting relationships, it's affecting the economy in some ways, it's affecting anything you want to look at, it's affecting people's health, it's affecting a lot of things. Now, I personally believe that the video game industry probably has a department, lobbyists, they have lobbyists, they'd have, just like the tobacco industry, just like the alcohol industry, just like the candy industry probably has this. They pay people to try to get laws passed, to make sure that, video games aren't attacked or restricted, to make sure that, they probably have people to make sure that bills get passed that keep allowing violent or different types of video games, adult video games, so that just like video game industry, like Association of Americas and things like that. I'm sure that they PR people to try to make sure that their video games, like I'm talking video game companies, but also big video game groups and associations, very specific genres of video games. I'm sure that very specific companies, i.e. Xbox and PlayStation, all have lobbyists trying to make sure that, some people who try to bring this sort of stuff to the forefront, it gets suppressed somehow. And I know it sounds bad, but I'm sure that exists. I'm sure that, Rockstar Games with their Grand Theft Auto, I'm sure that they spent some money on trying to make sure that their games actually get released. And even though that they've been some of the most controversial games. And controversy aside, I know that video game addiction has been brought up before, but it's been quashed fairly quickly. Because, again, I don't think it's taken seriously because video games aren't taken seriously. So because video games aren't taken seriously, I think the addiction portion of it, just by its very association, also does not get taken seriously. But I know that it should be taken seriously because it's as valid an addiction as heroin or cigarettes or people who are addicted to sniffing gasoline or people who are addicted to working out. Again, you can be addicted to anything, You can be addicted to shopping. You can be addicted to harming yourself. You can be addicted to eating. You could be addicted to many things. So I feel that video game addiction is just as real as any of those things, and it should be taken just as seriously. I know it's maybe hard to hear if you're a gamer and you're like, well, whatever, man. I just like video games. Well, that's fine. Again, there's different levels. You can be addicted to watching TV. You can be addicted to watching movies. You can be addicted to anything. Addicted to sex. Addicted to sleep. You could be addicted to anything you can think of. So I think that we need to start. I think there needs to be an industry that, like a service industry, which would be the counselors, psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, life counselors, social workers, and anybody in this realm of helping and mental health, because it is a mental health issue, which could stem from a physical issue, something going on with the brain, maybe the dopamine's not being regulated or produced, and it's being supplemented by video game play. All these things, in my opinion, are very real, and I don't think they're addressed enough, and I don't think that they're taken seriously enough, and people's lives are being ruined, people are dying. Another example would be, especially now, but also before, it can be affecting young kids, it can be affecting brain development, it can be affecting kids not going to school because they're addicted to video games. They could be staying up too late playing video games and not doing their homework or doing tests, studying or projects or whatever. They could also be missing out on social opportunities while they're in a developing age where they really should be learning about how to socialize with people, about learning about loss, learning about all sorts of things that they might miss if they're addicted to video games. Again, playing video games is different than being addicted to video games, where it takes over your life. And again, there's many different reasons to be addicted to video games. It could be that sort of rush, depending on what type of game it is. It could be a subject matter that you're addicted to. It could be like My Little Pony, and then you're just addicted to playing My Little Pony games. Not because of the gameplay, but because you're addicted to My Little Pony. So there's many levels to addictions, and I think it's important to address all of these things. Just something popped into my mind while I was talking about this. I think when I was talking about the video game industry and games trying to quash it a bit, I know that some games have tried to address video game addictions a little bit, which is good because they, if you're providing something that could be abused, that's a whole other discussion. Is it your responsibility as a video game creator to ensure people don't abuse it? It's hard to say. It's something that's highly addictive, so maybe, like you built in Like, you're building in things into video games that make it addictive. You build in achievements, you build in scores, you build in online competitiveness and rankings and stuff. Then you start, because you're doing that, you are building in an addictiveness and a replayability that maybe you should have a little more corporate responsibility in terms of ensuring that people aren't addicted, or helping them to get help if they are addicted, or putting in measures in the game that prevent you from being addicted. Something like that. I mean, that goes along with corporate responsibility, which is something, if you're running your own business, you should look into, including if you have a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel. Corporate responsibility. It's part of a successful and good business. And what that really means is giving back, like doing charity things, being conscious when you're offering a product or service. So anyway, that's sort of another tangent. But the part that ties into that is I remember playing Guild Wars 1, and I played that thing for a long time because there is so many elements to that game where there's a single player that's really in depth. You can also jump from single player to multiplayer just by adding someone to your party, or you could go to the PvP arenas just by a click of a mouse. So and there were so many unlocks and unlocking more skills and more things and getting gold and buying things and customizing your character, and all this stuff made it super addictive. So I definitely played that one for days at a time. And I remember being kind of laughing about it, but kind of going, oh shit. In Guild Wars 1, I remember there'd be something that would pop up on the screen. I know for sure at the 3-hour mark, after you've played the game for 3 hours, something would pop up on the screen and say, you've been playing for 3 hours, please consider taking a break and going outside, or something like that. And I'm like, wow, oh shit, maybe I should take a break. Nah, and I keep playing. But at least they did their part, built right into the code, that you, at least they're giving you a trigger to help you to realize how long you've been playing. And they didn't make fun of it. It was very serious, and it was like, hey, you've been playing for 3 hours, consider taking a break or going outside, or something like that. It was very serious tone. It wasn't like, hey, stop playing, idiot. It wasn't insulting. It wasn't like, we're going to shut your game down now. It wasn't anything like that. It was just like, hey, just so you know, you've been playing for 3 hours, take a break. Which was cool. And I think they did it again every 3 hours. They might have even done it at the 10-hour mark and other different points. Another thing I wanted to mention, just police have pulled someone over here. I wanted to get around that. What was I going to mention? Damn you, police, you might have made me forget. Oh yeah, some games like The Sims, I remember, I don't know what version of The Sims, but they'd give you an achievement. It's like, they kind of made fun of it in a way, almost calling you like a nerd, like, hey, you've played 100 in-game days of Sims. This would have taken you this many real-world hours. Congratulations, get off your ass, or something. It was something like that. It basically alerted you to the fact that you'd played a lot. They did it in kind of a tongue-in-cheek way that was like, hey, you've played this quite a lot, maybe don't. But yeah, games really build in that addictability now. That's become a mainstream thing, and something that people want. They want achievements. They want those little bits, and when you get an achievement, a little bit of, or a lot of dopamine or endorphins get released in your brain. Those happy chemicals get activated in your brain, and then you want to keep playing more to get more achievements. So again, they do build that stuff in. I think I had some other things I wanted to mention, but I'm trying to remember them right now about addictions and video games. Anyway, it's a very serious thing. Again, I think that I was an addict at one point in my life. I think that I have broken some of the habits, some of the intense need to game, the intense need to, only play games. I did that myself by adding other rewarding things into my life that are actually productive. When you think about video game addictions and what you're really losing is time. We only have a certain amount of time in this life, whether you want to admit it or not, and regardless of what you believe, religiously or personally or philosophically, about what happens after we die in this life, or anything about this life at all, the reality is that unless they come up with some immortality thing, which I don't think will happen, because even if they do invent it, I don't think it'll be shared. We're going to die, so you definitely have a limited time. Okay, our lives are limited, and I'm not trying to detract from, because obviously I love video games, you know that, but every minute you spend playing a video game, technically you're not really being productive. Okay, and it depends on how you view productivity. We're going to go on an interesting adventure now. I just looked down and realized that I am going to be out of gas very shortly. And I mean really shortly. My light is on. Oh, this is exciting. So I totally forgot that I needed to fill up with gas before I left work. And all right. I was wondering if this had ever happened. I haven't ran out of gas in like 15, 20 years. It's been a long time. 20 years is too long. I haven't been driving that long, but it's been a long time. I've only ever ran out of gas one time. Oh my God, I'm so close to a gas station. I'm surprised I made it this friggin' far. Because I was like really like on empty. I wonder if I'll make it to the gas station. Well, this will be fun. Woo! Yeah, way to be an adult. Yeah. Yikes. Okay, so you know what? And it's funny. This relates to what I'm talking about, because I also have a food addiction. I love food. I love delicious food. I love ice cream. I love bad food. And I've been doing really well lately in eating good food. My wife and I really work hard at eating well now. It's been, a while since I've been eating well, but I also really love Dairy Queen ice cream. There's a Dairy Queen on my way out of town from work, and I was working really hard to get out of town without stopping for ice cream. It's the first really nice day of the year. Sun's shining, and that Dairy Queen was calling me even from work. I'm like, fuck, I've got to fight it. I've got to fight it. And I did it. I made it without getting any ice cream. But unfortunately, in doing that, the Dairy Queen is literally right beside the gas station. So I willed myself away from Dairy Queen, and in doing that, I forgot about the gas. So there you go. There's some more addiction things. Oh, I wanted to talk about what's good about addiction. Anyway, so we'll see if I make it on empty here. I'm on fumes now. I've got to be. Oh my God. So tense. Add a level of excitement to the podcast. So, anyway, yeah. I'm really distracted now. So, I'm so distracted. Looking at my gas gauge. The light's on, which means you get about anywhere from 1 to 10 more kilometers, I think. I hope it's more than that. Oh my God, what are these people doing? Moving. All right. Come on, focus, man. Oh, the gas station's just up here, I swear. Please, let me get there. I can't believe I made it this far. So I forget what I was talking about before, but the good things about addictions is it can provide you with like, you know, those happy things that let you escape, just like anything. Watching TV. I made it to the gas station. Holy shit! I cannot believe this. Anyway, addictions can provide you with good things like hand-eye coordination. I can't. I'm almost home. I cannot believe. How did I make it home on like no gas? This doesn't make any sense to me. My tank must be a lot. It must go way past the friggin' empty mark. This is insane. I cannot express how insane this is right now that I actually made it to a gas station. Unbelievable. So, anyway, I'm going to stop podcast because I have to pump gas and shouldn't use cell phone at a gas pump. So, I can't believe I made it. Anyway, I'll just finish up real quick. So, you can get good benefits from benefits from addictions. Like you get the dopamine, you get hand-eye coordination. You can spend time with friends. You can actually be good at something and feel good about that. There's all sorts of benefits to not addictions, but things you love. I mean, once it becomes an addiction, that means there's some negative aspects. Anyway, I'm going to cut it here. I know I did have some other things to talk about, but I'm so I'm so distracted now from being on it. I can't. Like, as I was going into my job, I was like, I have to remember to get gas because I was like just about empty. I can't believe I drove this long. Anyway, man, if you have any addiction issues with if you think you're addicted to video games, it's affecting your life, seek help. Talk to your family doctor if you don't know who else to talk to. Talk to your parents or your significant other or your friend or me if you want to. I can help you find some resources. I know how to do that. Help you find some resources in your area. Talk to your school counselor. Talk to anyone you can. Your religious figure. I don't mean to say that condescending, but I don't really know. I'm not going to list priest, father. I'm not going to list all those, but your religious leader, I guess, is the proper term if you have one of those. Anyone you feel comfortable talking to, just let them know you think you have a problem. Your family doctor is probably the easiest to talk to, unless you don't like your family doctor, but they'd be well equipped to help you get the help you need. Just say, look, I think I have an addiction. It's technology. I just need to talk to a professional. Anyway, get help if you have an issue. Don't let it affect your life. Don't let it ruin your life. Don't let it ruin good things that you have going. Don't let it affect your physical health. Like, don't not exercise because of video games. If you do play video games for a long time, make sure you get up and take a break every hour, or at least every couple of hours, get up, stretch. All of these things are important. If you're a streamer and you're going to do long streams, make sure you take those breaks, Make sure you don't stream all day, every day, do some other things. That's good advice for myself too. So anyway, if you have any issues, feel free to send me a direct message or on any of the platforms. You can find me at twitter.com/TVSBOH, facebook.com/TVSBOH, twitch.tv/TVSBOH, and of course here on YouTube, youtube.com/TVSBOH. And I have to pump some gas now so I can actually get on the highway and make it home in the last little leg of my journey. Unbelievable. Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Burritos! The podcast is over, and I was glad that you were here. If you ever need to pick me up, just send us a tweet or watch our videos or live stream or just sing this song. I like burritos, I like burritos, I like burritos, man. I like burritos, I like burritos. That's the end of the podcast. now.